10 film, which thrusts its lead characters into a chemically induced dream state where they attempt to implant ideas into people's minds, was so complex and ambiguous that the director's true meaning has become a point of cinematic controversy. Don't worry though, we've got your back. Let's dive into explaining the ending of Inception. Grief and guilt. At its core, Inception is about two things: grief and guilt. Leonardo DiCaprio's Cobb is working to get back to his children after his wife Mal committed suicide, which looks more like Cobb himself killed her. At least that's how he remembers it. But his memories are clouded by guilt over his role in her death. After an experiment gone wrong, which trapped Mal and Cobb together for what seemed like decades in limbo, Mal became so absorbed into the dream world that she could no longer tell the difference between the different layers of existence. In her mind, the waking world was just another layer she needed to kick herself out of. So when she leaped from a high-rise hotel, she didn't think she'd actually kill herself. Cobb feels so responsible for Mal's death that he keeps his sharpest memories of her locked away in his mind. But when his protege, Ariadne, releases Mind Mal into the dream, she becomes his biggest obstacle in completing his Inception mission for Mr. Sato. She creeps into the third layer of the group mission and sends their target, Robert Fisher, into limbo. Cobb eventually realizes Mind Mal is just a projection of his guilt and grief and lets Ariadne kill her. That theme of getting through a difficult loss like this plays out on a parallel plane with Robert Fisher, as he's basically guided through the 5 stages of grief amid the looming death of his dad. In the end, Cobb decides to embrace the reality he's currently in with his children. In doing so, he also lets go of his guilt and grief. It's probably no coincidence that Nolan lost his own father in 2009, suggesting that Inception may just be his most personal film ever.
Chris is very expressive in what he's trying to accomplish, but it is insulated in his own mind, so we knew that we had to take a leap of faith.
That darn top. The biggest question viewers have after seeing Inception is this: will the spinning top at the end ever fall down? The top was a totem Cobb had created to show whether or not he was in a dream or in true reality. In a dream, it would spin forever, but in the real world, it would eventually fall over. For Nolan, though, the whole point of that ending is that it doesn't matter to Cobb anymore whether he's in a dream world or the real world, which is why he doesn't bother waiting to find out the results of his final spin. He's happy to be reunited with his children, and he decides that this is the reality he wants to live in, regardless of whether it's a dream or not.
We all dream, it's a universe.
But upon finding affection for one of its would-be victims, Theseus, she helps him escape by giving him a red string and a sword to defeat the Minotaur and find his way out of the maze. Not only does Inception's Ariadne almost always wear red, but she also slowly but surely shows Cobb the way to overcome his own demon, the long, lingering image of his dead wife. Some fans theorize Ariadne may have originally been hired by Stephen Miles, Mal's father, to discover whether Cobb had actually killed Mal or was as innocent as he claimed. That would explain why Ariadne is so acutely interested in delving into Cobb and Mal's history. After seeing the toll it takes on him, however, she may have developed a fondness or sympathy for him and decides to help him escape in the end, much like her mythological namesake. Daddy issues. Cobb and crew have to sift through a lot of layers to get to the bottom of Fisher's allegiance to his father's company. But by the end, it becomes clear that all Fisher ever really wanted was the affection and respect of his old man. That's why, when his dad tells him to open the safe that's been planted by Cobb's team in his Dreamworld hospital room, all it contains was a pinwheel that reminds Fisher of one of the few happy memories from his childhood. For Fisher, the pinwheel signifies that his dad treasured him more than he ever let on, which gives value to his suggestion that Fisher go off and become his own man, and thus dissolve the company that's causing Mr. Sato so much trouble. The Eye of the Needle. While Sato isn't exactly evil, he's willing to go to some great lengths in order to get a financial profit for his company, including literally entering someone else's mind and planting thoughts in it. But Sato's plan backfires spectacularly when he dies within the dream and is sent to limbo. Cobb manages to rescue him, but not until Sato has aged to the point of senility. When they finally emerge from their dream and back into reality, Sato isn't thrilled about his financial victory, but instead he's rather stoic and seems to have experienced a change of heart as a result of his time in limbo. With both Sato and Fisher, Nolan seems to be saying there's a lot more to life than the pursuit of wealth. a theme he would pick up on his next film, The Dark Knight Rises. But that's not the only impact Inception would have on Hollywood. Inception's legacy. Not only did themes of Inception carry over into The Dark Knight Rises, specific character arcs did too, as crazy as that sounds. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Inception character, Arthur, is tasked with keeping watch over his helpless comrades in much the same way that his Dark Knight Rises character, Blake, protects the innocent kids of Gotham City. Tom Hardy's Bane, meanwhile, picks up where his Inception character, Eames, leaves off, using masks and ultra-violence to achieve his ends. And Marion Cotillard's Miranda and Mal are each so devoted to their convictions that they don't hesitate to sacrifice themselves for what they believe in. The end of Inception didn't just affect Nolan's movies either, raking in over $825 million worldwide, while also garnering massive critical acclaim. Inception paved the way for a whole wave of high-concept, big-budget sci-fi fare, including films like Looper, Source Code, which unapologetically lifted Inception's entire city-bending sequence. However, the most obvious and annoying influence of Inception may be this. Created by composer Hans Zimmer to give potency to several action sequences, this obnoxious noise has been featured in seemingly every sci-fi blockbuster since Inception. Enter the dream. Ever since Inception's debut, there's hope that someday fans may be able to play through Inception themselves and figure out firsthand just what the ending means to them.